If you thought you had a lot to get done in a day, then just imagine what it must be like to run two incredibly successful business empires, do interviews, spend time with your family, and still have a little bit of downtime for yourself. Just running two multi-million-dollar business empires sounds like a little too much for us, to be honest. Elon Musk, however, seems to manage it all just fine, which means he must have figured it all out, right? Or does he have a secret? Like Elon time? He doesn't get as much sleep as you might think, and he doesn't take phone calls. He also plans his day in 5-minute intervals and swears by one thing to get his day started. And no, it's not coffee. Let's see what a typical day in the life of Elon Musk looks like. Elon Musk might be only 50 years old, but already has achieved incredible success and amassed an even more incredible net worth of almost $300 billion US. He was born in South Africa and started achieving great things at a very young age, such as teaching himself how to do computer programming after reading a manual at the age of just 12. Shortly after he put his new skills to the test, he developed a basic-based video game and then sold it for $500 US. This might not sound like a lot now, but in 1983, it was quite a bit of money. An awkward and introverted child, Musk was bullied throughout his childhood and was once even hospitalized after a group of boys threw him down a flight of stairs. Though he never backed down and kept working hard. And did it all pay off or what? Today, he is the founder of two of the biggest companies on Earth, Tesla and SpaceX. And he runs both of them while raising a family and still keeping his sanity. How on earth does he manage to fit all of that into a manageable daily routine? Well, he has a few tricks. He is straightforward and very focused. Despite only going to bed well after midnight, sometimes closer to 1 a.m., Musk says he sets his alarm for 7 a.m. each day, and as long as he gets a solid 6 hours of sleep, then he is ready to take each day by storm. This also means no hitting the snooze button. We don't know about you, but the idea of running two massive empires on just 6 hours of sleep sounds near impossible to us. Surely, he then sits down for a healthy breakfast while reading an online newspaper, right? No. He says he prefers to hit the ground running. So, as soon as he gets up, he usually starts checking his mail right away to make sure he knows what's coming up in his day, what will need his attention, and in what order. And only once he is done with that, he'll sometimes grab a quick cup of coffee. Yes, he does that without coffee. Who is this man? The one thing he never skips, though, is a morning shower. This is something he says is an absolute must for him to be able to start the day off well. It makes him feel refreshed and ready for action. For us, our day usually starts with hitting the snooze button a few times before sitting on the side of the bed for a few minutes. Then we'll stumble to the kitchen for some much needed caffeine, check our social media, and then we'll grab a shower. He might have a point. Another thing he swears by is something he calls batching, but we'll get to that in a little bit later. After his morning shower, he gets straight into his day, and since he not only has two massive companies to run, but is still hands-on and involved in all engineering and designing aspects, he has to be incredibly strict about his time. He was once quoted as saying, "Focus on signal over noise. Don't waste time on stuff that doesn't actually make things better." Plus, he has a reputation for being ruthlessly efficient in the workspace, and he demands the same of his employees. He is also known to leave meetings abruptly if he thinks his time is being wasted and actively discourages any unnecessary meetings. And while it might sound like a rude approach, it makes quite a bit of sense if you really think about it, doesn't it? So, in order to get to everything that needs his attention, Musk divides his 80 to 100-hour working week up into 5-minute slots. Think of it as high-intensity training. He actually calls his way of time management Elon time. And while there are certain things he does routinely, no 2 days are the same for him. Before we tell you more, remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons. He usually splits his week up into two. Mondays and Fridays he works at SpaceX, which is based in Los Angeles, and Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays he works at Tesla. And no, he doesn't just work while he's at work. He slots in a lot of work during his commute and after spending time with his wife every day. As for his weekends, well, here is where he gets a little reckless. As reckless as you can get when you run two companies, we guess. He says on the weekends, things are a little less scheduled. He usually spends his Sundays traveling or at his Bel Air mansion. On Saturdays, he usually puts in a few extra hours at SpaceX or relaxes with his 5 young sons. And when we say relaxing, we mean batching. Batching is what he calls multitasking. So while he might be sitting with his sons while they watch a movie or while they're playing outside, he will be getting a little bit of work done on his phone. He even does this in meetings, and he either does it really well or he has an incredible personal assistant. As mentioned before, Musk is known for being incredibly strict about his time, and this means no phone calls for him. It's either email or texting, and only a select few people have his email address, which is also said to be a rather obscure address. You know, so as to minimize spam. We guess it makes sense. The fewer distractions, the more work he can get done. One thing we're pretty sure about is his mom isn't too happy about the fact that he hardly ever sits down for meals. He takes them to go, almost like Brad Pitt's character in the Ocean's films. He says that the only time he will sit down for a proper, balanced meal is during a business dinner or an anniversary date. While he doesn't have a lot of time for staying in shape, he will try to work in at least an hour in the gym, at least once, maybe twice per week, just to keep his conscience at bay. Though, we're quite sure he probably has a treadmill in his office or bedroom. Reading, on the other hand, is something he makes time for almost every day. Despite his super busy life, Musk makes sure to carve out a little bit of time for reading. And no, he doesn't just read business or engineering magazines, he actually enjoys a bit of fantasy reading. One of his favorite titles is The Lord of the Rings, though he also enjoys a good biography like the ones of innovators Benjamin Franklin and Albert Einstein. But all of this doesn't mean he is all work and no play. Apparently, Musk can be quite the party animal. Okay, not spring break kind of party animal, but it sounds like he knows how to relax, and he knows how to throw a good party. At least once a year. He apparently once threw a massive birthday party at an English castle, which turned into a big game of hide and seek. Yes, we know, sounds like a lot of fun. However, he also hired a knife thrower to pop balloons that he himself held between his legs. Oh, Elon. While his daily routine is still incredibly jam-packed, he has actually slowed down a little bit. After the birth of his youngest child, he apparently made an active decision to slow down, so that he has more time for his family. While he might get home way too late after work to see his kids, he does leave a little time for them each morning, and will only go to work after they've all gone off to school. It might sound like he's a workaholic. Actually, we're not disputing it. But do you really have much of a choice when you're the boss at Tesla and SpaceX? And